I don't know about you, but I've spent a lot of my life thinking that the distance between me and God was my responsibility to close. We live in a world, especially here in the United States, that is built on the grind. We are immigrants. We know what it means to work 14 hours a day to bridge the gap between where we are and where we want to be. We've been conditioned to believe that if there's a distance, it's because we haven't worked hard enough to shorten it. And we carry that same mentality into our spiritual lives. We mess up. We let a habit get the best of us. We stop praying. We drift. And suddenly we feel like we're standing on the other side of a massive canyon, looking at God and thinking, I have a lot of walking to do before he'll even look at me. Think about that walk home for a second. Imagine you've lost everything. You've wasted the inheritance, you've smelled like the pigs, and you're rehearsing a speech in your head because you know you don't deserve to be called a son anymore. You're prepared to be a servant because at least servants get fed. You're calculating how much work it will take to pay back the debt. That's where many of us live, in the calculation of our own unworthiness. We think grace is something we eventually reach if we walk long enough in the right direction. But the gospel isn't about how far you can walk. It's about how fast God can run. Let's look at the text. Luke 15:20 says, But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him and kissed him. There are three things in this verse that should absolutely shock us. First, while he was still a long way off, his father saw him. This means the father was looking. He wasn't sitting in the living room waiting for a knock on the door. He was on the porch. He was scanning the horizon. God is not waiting for you to get your act together before he notices you're coming home. He's been watching the road since the moment you left. Second, the text says the father was filled with compassion. In the original Greek, that word for compassion is splankna. It's a visceral, gut-level reaction. It's not a polite, oh, that's nice. It's a physical ache. When God sees you in your brokenness, he doesn't feel disappointment first. He feels a physical ache to have you back. But the third thing is the real scandal. The text says the father ran. In the culture of the ancient Middle East, an elderly patriarch, a man of stature and wealth, did not run. It was considered deeply undignified. To run, he would have to hike up his robes, exposing his legs, which was a source of shame. Why did he do it? Why would he abandon his dignity? Because in those days, if a Jewish son wasted his father's money among Gentiles and then tried to return, the village would perform a ceremony called the kezazah. They would break a clay jar in front of him and scream that he was cut off from his people forever. The father ran because he wanted to get to the son before the village did. He took the shame of running so the son wouldn't have to take the shame of the village. That is the scandal of grace. God doesn't wait for you to arrive so he can judge you. He runs to you to protect you from the very judgment you deserve. So how does this change your week? How does this change the way you walk into your job tomorrow or the way you talk to your spouse tonight? It changes everything because it removes the hired servant mentality. The son had a speech ready. Make me like one of your hired servants. He wanted a contract. He wanted a way to earn his way back. But the father doesn't even let him finish the speech. He interrupts the apology with a robe, a ring, and a sandal. Maybe you're sitting there thinking, Pastor William, I've messed up too many times this month to expect God to run. Listen to me. Grace is not a reward for the righteous. It's a rescue for the repentant. If you are living under the weight of, I have to earn God's smile today, you are living under a lie. Imagine you're at work and you lose your temper, or you're home and you fall back into that old site on the internet. The servant mentality says, well, I guess I can't pray for 3 days until I've proven I'm sorry. The son mentality says, I am a long way off, but my father is already running toward me. Grace gives you the power to repent quickly. It doesn't make sin okay, it makes returning possible. When you realize that God has already covered your shame with his own dignity, you stop hiding. You stop calculating. You just start walking home, knowing that the most important part of the journey is the part he's already completed for you. What are you waiting for? Are you waiting until you feel holy enough to talk to God again? If you wait until you're worthy, you'll be waiting for an eternity that will never come. The father didn't wait for the son to take a shower. He hugged him while he still smelled like the pig pen. He didn't wait for a formal apology. He kissed him while the son was still rehearsing his excuses. Stop trying to pay back a debt that has already been canceled. The distance you feel right now? It's an illusion kept alive by your pride. Turn around. Take one step. I promise you, you won't have to walk the whole way. Your Father is already in a dead sprint toward you. This week, we're going to dive deeper into this. I've prepared a series of short reflections, 10 reels that will break down the different layers of this grace. We'll talk about the older brother problem, the scandal of the vineyard workers, and why grace is so offensive to religious people. Don't miss them. But for today, just remember this. He sees you, he's filled with compassion, and he is running. God bless you.